Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Divorce Divas, the divorce resource for women. I hope you are all having a wonderful day out there. We wanted to come together. When I say we, there's the four of the divas that are on here. You don't see us right now, but we will all come on as we get to our specific spot in the presentation. But, we wanted to come back on to make sure that you know who we are, you know how to get a hold of us, and you also know the skills and resources that we bring to the table when it comes to the divorce space. This is Jennifer Perry. I'm with Swan Financial Advisors. And I also have along with me Dr. Deborah Wilder and Stephanie Wilson and Cherish Dela Cruz. So you will get to meet each one of us as we go through. But what we really want to do is just walk you through the different facets of the divorce process that we specialize in. And at the end, you'll have the ability to connect with us as well as join our mailing list. But really, collectively, we just wanted to let you know that we were all here for you, regardless of if you are you've just gotten the papers served or have been the one that has had them served, if you are in the smack dab in the middle of the process, or if you are already divorced and you just really don't know how to start picking up the pieces. That's why we decided to collectively come together as the Divas and be here for you. So we're going to go ahead and get started today with our webinar. Now, again, I've just introduced myself. My name is Jennifer Perry. I'm a registered financial consultant and I'm a master financial coach. I've been in the industry for 16 years. And out of those 16 years, I have worked probably 95% exclusive with women, mostly women who are transitioning either through, divorce, loss of a husband or a job, or, just as somebody who's coming out of a situation in life that they didn't expect, and it's left a little bit of a financial mess that we have to uncover together. And I'm going to pass it off so that Stephanie Wilson can introduce herself to you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I am Stephanie Wilson. I am your resident divorce attorney. I have been practicing family law exclusively for the last 14 years. I got my education at Georgia State University College of Law and really have always had a passion to help people go through and navigate one of the hardest, most life-altering times in their lives. And it's really been such a blessing to recently open my own law firm so that I can have really just so much more impact and provide that emotional support that I know that my clients need when going through the divorce process. And I am a single mom myself, and I have a daughter who is about to be 3 years old, and her name is Georgia. So thanks for being here, and I'd like to pass it off to Dr. Deborah Wilder.
Thank you, Stephanie. Hi, everybody. I'm Deborah Wilder, and I've been in the therapy field for over 30 years and have been grateful every day to be able to participate and be a part of people's lives in that way. I've been in the divorce world for about 7 years as a professional, divorced myself a lot longer ago than that. And one of the things that I do love to do is help women get through their divorces, help them work through the issues that they need help with mentally, emotionally, as far as advice and guidance, and to help support them and their children as they go through this very, very difficult time. So it's a pleasure being here as well. Next is Cherish Dela Cruz.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Cherish Dela Cruz, and I help women plan for life's unexpectedcies, which means that, if you get sick or if you were to pass away, I help you protect your loved ones. I have been doing this for about 7 years, and prior to that, I was a corporate and securities attorney. The reason I went into estate planning was because my aunt, who was like a second mother to me, passed away, and I helped her with the process. I also realized during that time that there's a better way to do things, and that you need specialized care and attention, an attorney who can understand and really delve into the details of your own unique family situation. I am a mother of 3. And I have 2 girls and a little boy named Aiden.
Thank you, ladies, for telling everybody a little bit about yourselves. And one of the things I think that we really pride ourselves on over here, I'm not going to speak for all the rest of the ladies, but we're all moms. We're all women that have faced challenges in life, and we're all very, very real people. So, we encourage you as you go through this, you're getting to know a little bit more about who we are, but we really do encourage you that you reach out and connect with us at the very end, because going through a divorce process is just not easy at all. I've been through it myself, and a lot of times you feel like I don't even know where to start or who to reach out to. And that's part of the reason why we've come together as this team, to be able to point you in the right direction. And even if we can't personally help you, we want to make sure that we're there to do a soft handoff to somebody who can. So we're going to go ahead and really start digging into things. Our mission is to educate, empower, and equip women with the necessary tools to navigate their divorce and their finances. I'm going to speak really to the financial piece, but I think one of the things I think I bring to the table is that I have experienced divorce. I've experienced that loneliness and the overwhelming feeling and not really sure who I should reach out to. And I can tell you that if I would have had a team of divas that I could have leaned on as I was going through it, it would have really changed a lot for me drastically. And so again, here's me. I would flip on my screen, but the power of technology allows you that you don't have to do that. So, but this is me, and I'm with Swan Financial Advisors, and my biggest job is to make sure that your life, your income, and your legacy is protected. And we do that by having a better understanding of where you are right now and really where you want to go. So, looking at the financial impact of divorce, it can be pretty drastic depending upon where you are, what age you're at, what period of time in your career that you are at. It can really be pretty impactful and make a huge difference in your life. And the number one issue couples avoid discussing is money. And I had written an article a few years back for the Huffington Post talking to newlyweds. When should you have that conversation about money? You should have that conversation before you say I do, because you want to make sure that as you're coming into a marriage, what's coming along with your partner, whether it's debt, student loans. You just want to know what's out there so that it doesn't become an issue later, because money fights are the second leading cause of divorce behind infidelity. So if you're not talking about it before you even enter into the relationship, and now you're talking about it, a year or 2 or 3 or 5 years later, not realizing everything that each other had brought to the table, it does become an issue. And having money conversations is never easy. And results show that both high levels of debt and the lack of communication are major causes for the stress and anxiety surrounding household finances. So it's important. And I do sit with couples before they say I do, and we really start getting a budget together about what they need to do and what they need to look at. So, if you are, and you could be experiencing something right now where you and your husband are just so financially overwhelmed that you're thinking, you know what, I can't even talk to you about this. I just want to walk away. Our best thing is separating or divorcing. I would just put it out there to you. Call me. Let's get together. If there's a way that we can talk through really what's, sticking point with the money. Don't let that be what causes the two of you to go separate ways. If there's a way that we can remedy it, because, women relate to money differently than men. So we want to make sure that if there's an ability for us to keep that your household intact, the only thing you're arguing about is money, please reach out, because let's have that conversation. And, if you're just starting the process, it's really for me looking at it as a financial counselor and coach, is like, what can I tell you to do before you go and you sit and you meet with Stephanie, would be get your paperwork together. If this is something that you feel that, okay, this is the direction that we're going to go, try to get your hands on as much paperwork as you can, whether it's tax returns or, bank accounts. please just try to get your hands on as much information as you possibly can, because it will make Stephanie's job and her team a lot easier for them as you start moving forward, and really get clarity on your situation. If it's where you maybe weren't involved in the budget or you weren't involved in the household finances, just try to sit and put pen to paper and say, okay, if I had to figure out a mortgage, what are we paying? What are we doing in groceries? Just try to get a little bit of a handle on your financial situation currently. Between me and the help with Stephanie's team, we can certainly help you put things together for you to give you a better understanding of what that's going to look like moving forward. And then get a handle on your expenses, current expenses, and what you think what would it look like afterwards? What is it going to cost for you to go out and move out and start having a life for you? And what about the children's costs? So these are things just to kind of start having those brainstorming sessions with yourself so you can kind of get a handle on it. Don't be overwhelmed. As we walk through the process together, we will definitely make sure that you have all your ducks in a row, and it'll take some of the stress out of that. And then get qualified legal advice. I had the opportunity to work with Stephanie hands-on, and she is amazing. If you already have an attorney, that's great. If you're just looking in that space, I would definitely tell you to talk with, up to 3 people. It's got to be that you feel comfortable with the person. Understand you're going to go through this very stressful, overwhelming period of your life, and you want to make sure that you could lean on somebody and say, I'm just feeling apprehensive about this, or I'm scared. And you want it to be with a team of people who are qualified to get you through the process, but are also there to support you. And I know that Stephanie was a huge support for us personally, and then also for some people that I have referred her way. She has been wonderful. So, I definitely would encourage you to at least sit down and take advantage of an opportunity to meet with her. So getting qualified legal advice is really, really important, because divorce does, affect all aspects of your life and your finances. If you have children, it's going to determine where who has custody of your children, how much child support you're going to receive. And then also, where are the kids going to live? Is it going to be something that it's, a 50-50 situation? And I know Dr. Deborah Wilder, she does a lot in that space too, as far as the counseling and really helping people co-parent. So it's important that, again, you see why we've put together this team for you. And then when it gets into alimony and taxes and insurance budget, that's where I kind of come in and shine. And retirement benefits is really helping you get a handle on how is this going to affect you? What happens when the alimony runs out? What do we do at that point? If you had life insurance or health benefits and coverage through your spouse's employer, what does that mean now when you are no longer married? Those are certainly things that we can help you with. And then as far as the estate planning piece, it's very important to do, all of your beneficiary updates and things like that we can walk through with you. But again, that's why Cherish is here. That's kind of what she does. She looks at the estate planning, if make sure your will's in place. If you need a trust, helps you walk through that process. So as you can see, you're going to need a team of people as you go through this period of time. And if you don't have one, now you do. We're here as a community to support you as you go through this. And how I will help and kind of come into play in this is, Swan Financial will help you establish a budget and a cash flow plan, including how do we pay down debt? What do we do? Who's responsible for the debt? We'll make sure all of your beneficiaries are updated on your financial accounts, life insurance, 401k. And then if there has been a division of assets and a quadro is in place, we'll definitely help you chase down the money, make sure that it gets done in the time in which the settlement lays itself out there. We're going to be there to encourage you. A lot of times people go through the divorce process and then they get to the end of the line and they don't realize now there's quite a few things that need to be taken care of. And, I'm going to come alongside of you on that piece of the journey and help you make sure that you move forward. And then what we do is we really then just start to evaluate you. What does your new life look like for you? What do you now need to have in place? And we're going to create a personalized plan that's just for you. And it has to be flexible. Because, regardless of what age you are, when you go through this process, there's going to be things in life that change. I mean, look at the environment we're sitting in right now. a pandemic came through that no one was ready for. So you need to have flexibility built into what plan you have for yourself. And that's something that we make sure that we accomplish. And then we're going to connect you with partners who you may benefit from. And that's exactly what the Divas are. We are here to collectively support and elevate you as you go through this process. So as you can see, that's kind of where I come in the divorce piece. One thing I want to say before I pass it off to Stephanie is just, I get a lot of people who reach out to me and say, oh, I wish I would have known you when I went through a divorce. Or, hey, I've already got started in the process. Could you look at a settlement for me? Or, I'm just starting, Jennifer, and I don't know what to do. Understand, it does not matter at what piece of the divorce process you are going through. I can help you. I can help you make sense of what happened. I can help you make sense of where you want to go moving forward. I can review settlements. I can make suggestions as far as life insurance and benefits like that, and then also can weigh in on retirement. So that's just a little bit about how I can bring some value to the table. And now I'm going to hand you off to Stephanie Wilson.
Lovely ladies and maybe gentlemen. Jennifer, that was excellent. Thank you so much for sharing, and I appreciate the shout outs. And I can't endorse these ladies and this team enough. We are just all so anxious to be a support system for all of you going through a divorce. And today, I am really grateful for the opportunity to speak with you, because although I don't know what stage in the divorce process you might be in, I do know that divorce is downright scary. In many cases, it can be long, it can be intimidating, it can be stressful, and of course, it is full of uncertainties. I want to tell you today about a few things that you can keep in mind, which hopefully will prepare you and empower you as you go through the divorce process. First and foremost, select the right divorce attorney for you. Not all attorneys are created equal. Second, as much as you might like to do so, try not to bury your head in the sand. Become educated about the divorce process and participate, because these are long-term decisions that are going to affect you. Third, truly accept and understand that in a divorce situation, turbulence is par for the course. The process is not going to be a comfortable one, but if you accept it, you're not going to be caught off guard when you experience it. And fourth, keep your eye on the prize. Your brighter future, your new beginning is right around the corner. I promise you that. I know that from experience, from watching the hundreds of clients that I've helped through divorce. So in selecting the right attorney, how do you go about doing that? My suggestion to you is ask around. What attorneys have your friends, family members, and colleagues used? What has been their experiences? You'll want to perform research about the attorneys online. This can't be your only due diligence, though. You'll want to take a look at their websites, look at their online reviews. Sometimes, depending on the detail of the review, you can really get to know the type of person your attorney is. Is he or she described as compassionate, attentive, responsive? Those are qualities that you are absolutely going to need. Also, consider your own personality and what your own personal needs are. Would you prefer to work with an attorney who views your divorce simply as a business transaction? Or do you think you might need somebody who's going to offer you some emotional support, who's going to hold your hand? Once you narrow that list of attorneys down to maybe 3, I would strongly suggest that you interview each of the attorneys before you select one to represent you. During that interview process, be prepared to communicate to the attorney your needs and your expectations and see how they respond. Pay attention to how you feel when you're speaking with them. Don't hesitate to follow your gut on this decision. And ask yourself, when you're with this attorney, do you feel a sense of calm? Do you feel a sense of security? Or does that attorney only heighten your nerves? One question that I often get, should the attorney's hourly fee and retainer come into consideration? Of course, you want to be mindful about what your budget is, what the likely costs of the divorce are going to be. But let me caution, don't necessarily go with the attorney who is the least expensive, because oftentimes you do get what you pay for. Look at this as an investment into your future, and you want to make a smart choice. The second thing that I want to remind you to do is get educated about the divorce process. Participate, be present. It's very easy to retreat and let your attorney take over, and your attorney is definitely there to take a lot of the burden off of you. However, consider it a team approach. You and your attorney should be working collaboratively, because at the end of the day, you're going to be living out the results of this divorce. During this divorce process, you're going to be called on to give your input and to make certain decisions. Do you want to stay in the house? Do you want to sell the house? Should you seek a greater share of the marital estate or instead seek monthly payments? But like I said, if you can participate in this process, you're going to feel so much more empowered. You are going to take ownership over this process, and your opportunity for success is going to be greater. And once you look back on the divorce process, once it's over, you're going to be less likely to have regrets. Part of participating in the process is knowing what's going on, and it can be very confusing. So let me just give you an abbreviated version of how the divorce process works. Your divorce process is going to begin upon the filing of a complaint for divorce. In that complaint, you're very generally going to put your spouse and the court on notice of what you're seeking out of the divorce. Child support, a division of assets and debts, maybe reimbursement for your attorney's fees, and the like. Your spouse is ultimately going to be served with this complaint, or vice versa if you're on the receiving end of a complaint. Or he or she or you are going to execute an acknowledgement of service, basically saying, court, I've received this complaint. The soonest that your divorce can be finalized in the state of Georgia, assuming it's an uncontested situation, is 31 days after that date of service, which is pretty remarkable, because states like North Carolina, and I want to say California, you've got to wait a full year before you can get divorced. The next step in the process is possibly engaging in the discovery. That's where divorcing parties ask each other questions, ask them to produce documents, you complete a domestic relations financial affidavit, and this is really what is going to give your attorney a wealth of information so that he or she can advise you on what might be an outcome in your divorce or how best to try to settle your divorce. Once the discovery process is complete, that's where the attorneys are going to work really hard on trying to settle your case. You may go to mediation, you may engage in things like late case evaluation. Really, we try to be creative in trying to get a settlement because we want you to avoid litigation, which is going to be a very costly endeavor. In the event that we are unable to settle your divorce case, like I said, we're going to have to take the matter to court. And that's where you present your case to a judge and the judge decides. That's a scary process because it can be really expensive. I like to say for every hour that I'm in court presenting, I've probably spent about 4 or 5 hours preparing. So when you add that up based on the attorney's hourly rate, it may not be the wisest financial approach to litigate. And it really, at the end of the day, a settlement compromise might be in you and your family's best interest for the future. After you finalize your divorce, and that's through the execution of a final judgment and decree by the judge, there may be post-divorce matters to address. Jen talked about this a little bit with the qualified domestic relations order. Maybe we need to divide a 401k and we'll have that order. Then we also have to help the clients, change automobile insurance policies, health insurance policies, and all of the women in this group can help either emotionally or logistically with that process. So now that you know what to do to select the right divorce attorney and you're, hopefully a little bit educated on the divorce timeline, I have 2 more brief steps for you, which really requires a shift in mindset for some. First, accept that there's going to be turbulence in the divorce process. You and your spouse are not going to agree on everything during the proceedings. That's totally normal. There's going to be highs and lows. There's going to probably be moments where you're thinking, oh man, I should have just stayed married. Keep your eye on the prize. The emotional roller coaster of a divorce is not going to outweigh the emotional roller coaster of an unhealthy or unworkable marriage. You will get through it and you are going to be better afterwards. I just mentioned, keep your eye on the prize. Your new and bright future is right around the corner. Remember, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that is the freedom, peace, and happiness that await you. I know this from experience in watching my clients blossom after a divorce. I have seen clients fall in love. I've seen them pursue dreams of education and career. I've seen them travel. They've had more financial control. And most importantly, they've achieved the peace that they didn't have for so long. So you are going to be surprised that once you break away from an unhealthy situation, the clouds are just going to open up for you, and it's just going to be a wonderful new chapter for you. Thank you so much for listening. I'd like to hand it over to our resident therapist and divorce mediator, the amazing and wonderful Dr. Deborah Wilder.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that, and such great words of advice and wisdom from both you and Jennifer, and I know Cherish coming up in a few minutes. The first thing that I want to talk about in how to best prepare for the emotional experiences of divorce is the concept of fear. I think that fear, in my experience, being a divorce professional, having gone through a divorce myself, and being a single parent as well, that's been the overriding experience starting point. And I think in the very beginning, as Jennifer was saying, the fear about the financial future is great. And the best thing that you can do is keep your head out of the sand and just begin to strategize financially as quickly as possible. Gather all the information. If you know what you're dealing with, then you can deal with it. If you don't know everything that you're dealing with, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Your fear will decrease the more information that you have and the more planning that you're doing and the more that you face that reality. Another fear is dealing with your children and their own emotions. Becoming a single parent is a struggle. And my kids were little when I became a single parent. I have 3 kids. My youngest is now 20. But I remember how difficult it was to become a single parent for a number of reasons. And I think in relationships, parents usually or often will balance themselves out. There may be a parent who is more on the gentle, permissive side, and there may be a parent who is on the more the stricter and firmer side. I know for me, I had to give myself some compassion because I erred on the side of being too gentle most of the time. And I think I did my kids a bit of a disservice by not being as firm at times as I could have been. But that's something that I had to reconcile within myself. And sometimes we have to go against our own natures as people. If we're more firm, we have to learn to improve that gentle side to us. But again, showing us compassion, showing our children empathy and compassion, and again, dealing with those boundaries that we need to establish as single parents. Another thing about being a single parent as well is if you have, whether you have one child or more than one, sometimes you cannot be at every place you need to be at the same time. So there has to be something that gives. And that's a struggle as a parent. I say most parents because I have met parents over the years who really don't care. However, most parents do care about being a good parent and taking care of their children and wanting to be the best providers that we can be. But there is no playbook in becoming a single parent. And it's a challenge and we experience growing pains. But the most important thing is to make sure your children feel loved and supported and secure. So that's very, very important to do. Another thing to think about is the support that we need. If we're fortunate enough to have wonderful friends and family to be able to support us, we are often in a very good position. However, sometimes friends and family cannot give us the support that we really, really need. They're there for us But sometimes, believe it or not, they may feel burdened with the burden that they cannot help anymore. And that's when you may want to seek a professional, someone who understands, someone whose only stake in the game is to help you move forward. It's not personal. It's a caring relationship, but this person can help to guide and advise and support you emotionally and mentally as you go through all these stages of divorce. Speaking of stages, the next area that I want to talk about is the grieving process. And divorce is the death of a marriage. It is an absolute death. And the grieving process is the same as in the death of a person. And one of the things that's very important to understand is that grieving is not linear. There are stages that you're going to experience, but you're not going to go from A to E and then you're done. You're going to go back and forth, jumping from one to the next, possibly even for many years. It does get better, but the first stage of grieving is often denial or shock. I can't believe I'm getting a divorce. Even if you want the divorce, even if you're the one who has initiated the divorce, it's still hard to believe sometimes that this is actually happening. Then the next stage may be anger. Your whole world may be turning upside down. And if you have children, it's going to certainly affect them as well. It didn't need to be this way. Why did this have to happen? And you're angry. Sometimes if you don't want a divorce, you may end up in this stage, bargaining. You know, you tell your spouse, I'll do anything. Please don't leave me. I'll do anything. And then when it's inevitable that the divorce is going to be happening, many times there is depression or sadness, discouragement, and you feel a little helpless sometimes. Finally, as you work through these things, there is a feeling of acceptance, meaning, I know this is happening. I accept that this is happening, and I'm going to do what I need to do to get through it. Again, you may feel in the acceptance phase, and then 5 minutes later, you're jumping back to A. I cannot believe that this is happening. So give yourself some compassion. Very important. All of these things are completely normal, given the situations that divorce brings for yourself and for your children. The last thing that I want to talk about is self-care. And self-care versus self-indulgence. Self-care, if you can try to get enough sleep. I don't know that many people who actually do, even if they're not stressed with divorce, but if you can try to get as much sleep in a healthy way as possible and take care of yourself physically, eat healthy foods and not overindulge. The self-indulgence part really has to do more with substances, drinking too much or using other substances in a self-destructive or unhealthy way, or kind of turning to other behaviors that really are self-destructive and unhealthy. That's a danger zone, and try to be as aware as you can of your own behavior and your own tendencies. Much of the time, if you were used to drinking, you may want to ramp it up. Obviously, it's an escape, and I'm not anti-drinking. You just have to do it carefully and in a smart way, and not in a way that is self-destructive. Getting a massage, that's self-care. Listening to music, going for walks, talking to family and friends, spending time with people who care about you, that's self-care. It's very important to be compassionate to yourself. Again, nobody walks down the aisle thinking that this is going to end this way. There really is no playbook, but the support that you will get from us is tremendous. And as I was going through my divorce many years ago, I wish I had a group like this to turn to. It would have made my life a lot easier, and I would certainly not have made as many mistakes as I did kind of navigating all of this myself. So now I'm going to turn it over to Cherish Dela Cruz.
Thank you, Deborah, for that practical and insightful advice. Hello, everyone. My name is Cherish Dela Cruz. And as I stated before, I'm an estate planning attorney. I work with a lot of women and small business owners. Really, it's my job to help women plan for life's unexpected events so that they have less stress, family heartache, and they can obtain peace of mind knowing that their loved ones are cared for. Now, after your divorce, this is of the utmost importance. You've already gone through the trials and tribulations of having a divorce. And so the next step, I'm sure you don't necessarily want to deal with another lawyer, is really to make sure that the things and the assets and everything that you've put in place with Stephanie comes to fruition. And so, if we're looking at women in estate planning, there's a lot of hesitation and apprehension in actually doing the planning. If you look at the national statistics, only 50% of people in America have a will. And there are huge consequences that I don't want you to experience because you don't have a will or an estate plan. Now, in a recent survey, 95% of people said that they want their property or their assets to be transferred to someone that they choose. But in actuality, only 35% of the people surveyed had a will, and only 21% had a trust. Now, the scariest part is that 75% of Americans with minors, and so I want you to think, if you have children of your own, will leave the decision of the child's guardian to the court. Now, as a mom of 3, I would never want that to happen. But I also want to educate you about the process and to take out the stigma, the fear, and the overwhelm you might feel when you begin your estate planning. Now, let's break down the concept of estate planning. Estate planning, I know it's a big, fancy word, but your estate is essentially everything you own. So it could be property, investments accounts, jewelry, heirlooms, cars, businesses, and that is just what your estate is. Now, the planning piece of it is you wanting to retain control of the property while you're living. You want to give what you have to the people that you love. So, for example, your children, you want to make sure that they're taken care of, but that you want to give them all of these assets that you have worked hard for or that you have currently in the way that you want, when you want to. And additionally, as a mom, you want to protect your children from themselves. Maybe you have children who like to spend money, or you have, they may have creditors or other people like spouses or partners that you might not necessarily agree with. You can structure your estate plan so that they are protected. You also want to ensure that if something happens to your children, that they are protected in the sense that you're not making sure that you choose who their guardian would be. Now, in looking at what the foundation of an estate plan is, these are the basics of what should be in your estate plan so that you are protected in the event that you get sick or, God forbid, if you pass away. Now, the first is a will or a trust. Now, think of a will as a document that directs how your property is going to be distributed upon your death. And so what that means is really, going to the probate court, choosing an executor, and having someone take care of your affairs. Think of a trust as a contract for your beneficiaries. Let's just say your children. And the trustee would take care of those things for your children until they reach a certain age. Now, a power of attorney for finances is critical for women. So when you were married, you might have had your husband or partner be listed as that individual. And you want to make sure that that individual or your former significant other isn't listed in either the will or the trust or for the power of attorney for your finances. The same goes for the healthcare directive. This is somebody who is going to take care of you or make critical medical decisions on your behalf because you can't make them, because you may be temporarily in the hospital and you can't speak. And they would be able to make these lifelong decisions for you. It enables an agent to make medical decisions on your behalf when you are incapacitated. So everything needs to be customized for you and your own unique situation. In terms of guardianship, now as parents of your children, you are considered the natural guardians. Now, if something were to happen to you and your ex-spouse, then it's really coordinating who you would want to take care of your children or yourself. So let's just say you are older and you have a history of dementia in your family. Who is that individual that you would want to medically name as the person who could make those medical decisions on your behalf? In terms of your children, who would you want to raise your children in the event that you and your ex-spouse are no longer around? Now, it's critical. I want to offer you some insight in terms of steps that you should take when following your divorce. So hopefully, you would have chosen an attorney like Stephanie, and you would have coordinated in making sure that you yourself are protected, that you have the assets in place, and that all of your beneficiary designations have updated that, or it's part of the order that the judge has signed that, let's just say, your ex-spouse would have had to maintain a certain amount of life insurance until the children reach a certain age. But these are 4 simple steps that you can take on your own so that you feel better and that you have peace of mind. The first step is to really review your current estate planning documents. So looking at your will, looking at your trust if you have one, your advanced healthcare directive, the powers of attorney. See who's listed on there. Is your ex-spouse still listed on there? If so, then and you don't want that, then you should change it. The next step is to change your beneficiary under your own life insurance if you do have some. And do not rely on language in a divorce decree to make sure that your wishes are followed. Under life insurance, there's certain requirements, the court views it as a contract. So whatever is listed under the life insurance beneficiary designation form, that is what controls. I think there's a misnomer out there and a misconception that the divorce decree will take precedence. And generally, 99% out of the cases, that won't happen. If you have an employer and you're working, look at the human resources department and change the beneficiary on your pension, stock options, life insurance, and other employee benefits. Sometimes this is overlooked because you've done all of the other things, but think of that as well. If you have minor children, designate someone under a will to serve as a guardian to your children if your ex-spouse is unavailable. So these are just little steps that you can take so that you can take control of your life. And we hope that you can join us in this journey. And if you ever need assistance, please feel free to reach out.
Well, thank you guys so much to the rest of the Divas for sharing just a little bit of insight, not only as to what we all collectively do, but just some things that people are going to face as they go through the divorce process. And I think when we talk about really what's next is we are going to continue to come to you and provide different educational pieces and tools and tips that you may need as you go through the process. But again, please understand that we are here as a resource for you, regardless of what stage you're in. Even if you're divorced, 2 or 3 years ago, it doesn't matter. If you haven't been able to start putting your feet forward, or if you're still going through, like Dr. Wilder had shared, different things as far as denial, and now you may have a little more insight as to, oh my gosh, this is what's to be expected. This is a normal process in moving forward into the next chapter of our lives. But I just wanted to give you an opportunity to know a little bit more about who the Divas are. We are going to give you an opportunity at the end of this, when you're viewing this webinar, to reach out to us directly. We all offer a complimentary opportunity to speak with us, because we don't want you to go at this alone. And we also, if you have a friend who is experiencing a divorce or a financial challenge of some kind, or an emotional, understand now, we are here. We have done all of the due diligence for you. We have found each other, and in the midst of all of that, they say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I believe it takes a community to support and elevate a client and somebody who's going through a situation such as divorce. So, we encourage you to sign up for any more webinars that we have going on. Go out and look at our website at divorce-divas.com, and we look forward to coming back and meeting with you all again. So thank you, ladies, for spending a little bit of time with us this morning. And again, I feel extremely blessed to be a part of such a wonderful tribe of women who are here to support and elevate other women. So the Divas look forward to coming back and talking to you again. And in the meantime, we'll make sure that you have a way to get in touch with all of us. So until next time, thank you, ladies.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.